Welcome back to the REI Closures podcast. We're getting a lot of questions about pre-foreclosure, so we're going full deep dive, whether you're a door knocker wanting to get into pre-foreclosures or you're an investor and you're looking to add this to one of your marketing channels, whether it be door knocking, calling, texting. We're going to go deep dive over all the questions.
Why is it y'all's niche that y'all focus on so much instead of just being a Zillow warrior?
Kind of what we learned. It's the first thing we did.
I think it's a great first way for people to start marketing, which is what finally gave me a narrow path on what to focus on. When I first joined the real estate community, there were people calling agents, people trying to do sub 2 deals on market, making offers on market, doing transaction coordinating, multifamily. I had no idea what I was doing, but I already was in direct sales door to door, so I knew I could communicate with people, face to face. So when I saw people were knocking foreclosures, I was like, oh, this is the way. They have to do something. They're the most qualified, motivated leads. They don't always want to sell at all, but they have to do something on a timeline. So it's a low barrier to entry. You're going to find leads if you can build connections with them, and they have to do something. So I think it's just a great way to start. Obviously, there's pros and cons. They have a higher fallout rate, a lot of craziness. They don't always want to sell the property, obviously, but that's just how we started.
Who would recommend a marketing strategy, whether it's code violations, whatever list you're pulling? Would you recommend pre-foreclosures first?
I would recommend off market. People ask that all the time, should I just look at Zillow or should I go off market? Zillow is easy because it's just right there. You have access to a realtor, whatever, but they're just not very good deals in my opinion because they're asking for way too much. It usually doesn't need repair. There's not much distress. I would say off market's the way to go. It doesn't really matter if it's pre-foreclosure, probate, vacant.
And also you're working through a realtor, you aren't talking to the actual seller, right? So they want what's best for their client, obviously. So now you got to work through two people versus off market. People don't realize they have to talk to a lot of people. They feel like they're just running up against a brick wall. I was talking to one of the guys in our community about that. He was landing 2 deals in our contract. He was having good momentum, but it's just sometimes it can feel like you're not making any traction at the beginning because you're doing, the grunt work, doing the door knocking, the cold calling, blasting text. But that's what it takes. It just takes thousands of contacts to get a deal. And people don't realize that. They're like, oh, I've talked to 100 people today. It's that's it. You got to be on a 3-line dialer, blasting phone calls, texts, following up, building a pipeline, because someone's not just going to give you their house at 70% of the value after you call 100 people. It's just the reality of it. So you got to make thousands of contacts and then have them in a system that's always following up. But I think, again, pre-foreclosures, they're the most motivated, lowest barrier to entry, and you can personally build a connection with someone that trusts you, and you can get a deal.
What are the common things you see people do wrong whenever they're talking to pre-foreclosure leads?
I would say saying the word pre-foreclosure. I've knocked doors with people, and the first thing they say is hey, saw the house was on the pre-foreclosure list. They didn't even say who they were. They didn't say they were in the neighborhood. They didn't say they, anything. It's just out of the gate, just I saw your house was in pre-foreclosure. Yeah. I always just use the word auction, but I don't say it until way longer into the conversation.
Yeah, it's building, making sure you realize this person was doing something else. They also are in an uncomfortable spot. They don't want you on their doorstep. So buzzwords like that, it's when I'm signing a contract, I don't want to say, hey, I sent a contract over. Can you sign it? It's hey, here's the agreement that we need to send a title. Pretty basic, just gets a couple initials. So I don't want to say pre-foreclosure. I'm building a connection with you. Hey, I was actually helping someone out in a similar situation in the neighborhood. It looked like there were some issues with the bank. Had anyone explained all those options for you? I'm curious and trying to see how I can help versus you want to sell your house? Or I saw the pre-foreclosure notice, that's why I'm here. It just feels like you're trying to take advantage of them. So you got to actually put yourself in their situation and genuinely think, how would I want to feel during this?
What were the conversation between you two and you're just started cold calling and door knocking? What would you ask him? What was the feedback you looked for?
Probably honestly didn't even ask that enough. Obviously he helped me a ton with door knocking because I don't know hey, you're supposed to stand far away from the door, turn sideways, all the little tweaks that you can add with door knocking. Cold calling, I don't know. That was kind of just doing it.
I think we help over time, but it was more just diving into it. And then I ran into this, so I'd say this over, you know what I mean? As you start hearing, this was a conversation I said, I would have said this instead or done this differently.
Definitely did a lot of that. Just saying, hey, what did I mess up on this? What could I have said? That I did do that a lot at the start. Is how can I have told this story differently or asked this question differently or whatever it was.
Luckily having a foundation too, getting the CRM, having recorded calls, we would go back through each other's recorded calls, and he definitely caught the real estate bug before. It was funny, I remember, I honestly don't talk about this a lot, but I remember we ate dinner at some steakhouse with our family, and it was January. I had just not even finished, I was selling solar, made a lot of money selling solar, but I just didn't love it, and I wanted to get full-time in real estate, and I knew I wanted to wholesale. And I was like, yeah, that's what we're gonna do, because I was trying to to kind of get him to sell solar, and I was like, we're gonna do real estate like full time come this time next year. And he's like, oh, okay, like we'll see. And then so I got him on like the YouTube bug. He was staying in watching Pace Morby's YouTube and all the wholesale stuff and Brent Daniels and all those. And then come like 3 months later, we were getting our first deal.
Did you kind of just like throw him in the mud like whenever y'all first started, or was it just like did you ease him in, just like have him do little things?
We were kind of separate, honestly.
I mean, like I had the sales experience like already out there in the doors, and then I ran in. I already had paid for some community mentorships. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go knock some foreclosures once I finally figured that out. So I threw myself in there a little earlier. He was starting to already watch all this stuff though. He was starting to get into real estate. He just hadn't like invested in anything. He was doing his 9-to-5 job. So we were kind of separate. But then once I met Grant, one of our mentors, I was like, hey, let's come to this workshop. Let's see what he's got, to teach us. And then that's whenever we kind of dove into it together after 3 or 4 months of doing it, ourselves, trying to figure it out.
How important is it to realize that by being a wholesaler, you're a problem solver? A lot of people get into it and they're just like, oh, I'm just flipping contracts or whatever they saw on Instagram or YouTube.
I mean, I'd say that's what you're kind of getting paid to do. Is there's a lot of people that flip houses, but they don't want to talk to sellers. They don't want to solve the airship problems or come with an off-market deal. So, I mean, you're getting paid to figure out airship issues, order payoffs that are tough to get, deal with sellers that are all over the place, having to actually clean up a property, clean it out beforehand, all that stuff that a lot of people don't want to do. So that's what you're getting paid to do.
It's also more just problem solving, like negotiating wise and emotionally, like especially for pre-foreclosures. The reason you're getting a deal under contract is because they trust you. You're helping them, you're making them comfortable. We're setting up things like, how can we make sure they're getting money before? Are we helping them relocate? We're putting them in touch with someone to get them a rental. We're finding them another place. Sometimes we're fronting the Airbnb that they need to move to for a little bit. So it's like, not always, but one, problem solving to actually make their situation that they're in a pickle and helping them get out of it. And then 2, negotiating. So it's all marketing and sales at the end of the day, but within, making a sale is problem solving. So you got to have leads, you got to be able to negotiate, and then problem solve to get a deal across the finish line. And a lot of times people can do 1 or 2, they can't do 3, and they get some leads in and they might even negotiate, but they don't know how to solve the problem or pivot the exit strategy, or they get a deal like across almost to the finish line, but they can't get the title work clear. So it just depends. But problem solving, the bigger problem you solve, the more money you're gonna make.
What should your expectations be? How many calls should you be making a day? How many outreaches, texts, SMS?
I mean, you should be spending almost all of your golden hours marketing. So calling, texting, emailing, whatever it is. I mean, but it is a numbers game. I mean, it's kind of up to you. Like, we text thousands and thousands of people a week, make upwards of 6,000 phone calls across our team a week. So the more people you can reach out to, the better. I mean, I'd say at a bare minimum, make 250 calls a day. If you're cold calling, if you're sending text, try to send a couple hundred.
Yeah, and again, it depends how quick you want to get a deal, right? So like, if you do all these outbound strategies, it's gonna take thousands of contacts to get a deal, versus an inbound strategy like Facebook, Google, YouTube ads. It's gonna take us 20, anywhere from 15 to 40 leads to get a deal, right? But it costs a lot more. So like, the beginning, people don't see that light at the end of the tunnel. They're like, oh, I want to get a deal now. It's like, dude, most wholesalers takes months to get their first deal because they're doing the lower cost, lower barrier to entry things that are required, because you probably don't even know how to close a deal well, dispo it, do all these other things. So you shouldn't be spending money on these high cost lead strategies. But you also got to know, I mean, yeah, we call about 800 to 1,000 people a day per person on our team. It's taken, some of an experienced closer 3, 4, 5,000 calls to get a contract, and they're also getting followed up on text through all of our automation.
How do y'all do y'all's KPIs, and what should be your KPIs when you first start?
I mean, we do KPIs on a spreadsheet. We do it through CRM as well, but we track everything through a spreadsheet. So depending on what you're doing, whether you're in disposition, acquisitions, whatnot, you're going to have, hey, did I make my calls? Did I set this many appointments? Did I send this many texts? Did I do,
how many offers did I make?
How many offers did I make?
For inbound leads, obviously it's pretty easy. We can see how many leads came in, what we spent, how many offers, how many were qualified versus unqualified. So it's all tracked in a CRM, but then we take that, each person on our team, we take it, put it in our spreadsheet. So we make it for the month, like, what is our monthly goal on calls and text sent, offers made, contracts, appointments, and basically you can track that every day. So what is my goal daily and goal weekly, goal monthly? It just sets a standard that's the power of also like having some communities who's holding me accountable to actually hit these KPIs. It removes the emotion aspect from the business when you wonder why you haven't gotten a deal, but how many people have I actually contacted, how many offers have I made?
The goal's kind of what you make it. Do what you can do. Obviously, everyone's time's a little bit different, but I would try to set a reasonable goal and hit it. And then if you can obtain that goal, make it bigger each week or each day.
Yeah, I'd say a big book to read is called 10x is easier than 2x. So many people think they're doing a lot, or maybe I want to double the amount of deals I got this month. Like if you have to think about how you could 10x something, it really makes your mindset shift and realize like how much more you have to do to accomplish that goal. So it's probably a lot more than what you're doing right now. And that's just becoming obsessed with it, mastering action and just contact as many leads as possible. For low cost, it could be door knocking all the time, leaving a ton of notes, calling, and then it can start going into texting, getting like a 3-line dialer, calling 3 people at once, turning on other marketing strategies.
Is data important? And if it is, how do y'all go about getting y'all's data?
Yeah, data's, I would say, very important. You can get a whole list full of, wrong phone numbers, whatever that's part of it. There are going to be wrong phone numbers, but getting it, if you're talking about pre-foreclosures specifically, getting it quickly is the most important. And then whether you're calling them, texting them, knocking them, doesn't really matter. Just get to them quickly. But yeah, you need to have good data.
For pre-foreclosures specifically, first to market, we had someone that was trying to hit pre-foreclosures and they just went on like a prop stream or deal machine, which we used that, but not for pre-foreclosures because they download a massive list of 10,000 pre-foreclosures, and it could have been someone that got added 6 months ago. Their auctions passed several months ago and they're already living in the house still. They modified the loan or they already got foreclosed on, so it's useless. And first to market, that's why we use PropBot. It scans it, immediately puts it into our email. So for pre-foreclosures, that's huge. Any other lead, that's not like pre-foreclosure, probate, divorce type stuff. We're just building lists. That's whenever I go on those, deal machine, prop stream stuff and stack a list together.
You want to niche it as much as you can for the non-pre-foreclosures. So you don't want to just text every house in the neighborhood. Make sure it's a high equity, distressed house, whether that be, you can sort by income level, or if it's an absentee owned house, try to
tax delinquent, code violation, things that make someone more likely to need to sell their house versus just any house.
When is the right time to transition to paid marketing?
I'd say when you can afford it, it's probably a good thing. And then also when you have the ability to close and have the systems in place. Don't spend money, marketing, getting inbound leads if 1, you can't afford it, obviously, and 2, you don't really have the systems to get it closed, do disposition on your own, or do an ovation, or have all these different exit strategies. If all you know how to do is kind of close a deal and maybe get a cash buyer, it's going to be really hard to make money because you need to know how to do an ovation, how to do a sub 2 purchase or a seller finance deal, things like that.
That was a good follow up too, because not just when you can afford it. Yeah. So I think I see some people too that have the money and they're like, we JV'd with some people like this that we met at meetups, and they're like, I'm running $5,000 a month in PPC, but unless they have a solid JV partner like our team, right, dialed in before, where they're like, hey, we're just gonna funnel all these to you and we'll, the profit makes sense to split, and they trust us, then cool. But if you're not doing that, again, you got to contact those leads within a minute or 2. You don't have to, obviously, but that's what you want to. Your increase, your chances significantly. So yeah, if you can't close, if you don't know how to do exit strategies, how to get the deal across the finish line, get it sold, there's no point in paying for that, right? That's part of the learning process, unless, again, you're joint venturing or partnering with people.
How do you handle objections, and what's important whenever you're handling objections?
Objections are inevitable, and the people that can do well and hold the conversation expect the objection. You're not thrown off. You know all the things that they could say because you've studied it or you've heard it. And even if you haven't heard it, you fake it till you make it. This is the biggest thing door-to-door people are just masters of, is faking it till you make it. No matter what someone throws at me, they're like, yeah, that's actually exactly why I'm here. You agree with them immediately, and you just know because they can think and work on the fly. So if you just agree, overcome, and transition every time. No matter what they say, yep, I completely agree, I completely understand. What I'm doing is actually different. And then you ask them another question. Because if you can do that, you continue the conversation. People aren't going to slam a door on you. But if you try and win the argument, they say something, well, no, it's actually this, shut the door, you lost.
Is it different on the phones?
They can end the call a little bit easier, so I want to sound like a human quickly. I'll act like I fumbled, I'm looking at something.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me okay? Oh, okay. Something completely different. I don't want it to be delayed, beep, hey, this is Ben with the Cruz Brother, you know what I mean? I don't want to sound like a salesperson whatsoever. I want to sound like a human being, make them laugh. I'll even laugh at the beginning a little bit just to be like, they'll be like, what is going on?
How important is having community and people who've done it before? And whenever you got that, what was the level of, what changed?
I I'd say it's crucial. Like there's a lot of people that want to, myself included, that kind of want to go the lone wolf route. I want to get the contract myself. I want to dispo myself. I want to do everything myself. It's like, you can't do that. Like you got to have a good team around you. Learning curve is going to be a lot easier. You're not going to be sitting there all lonely all the time trying to do deals by yourself. So, I mean, it's going to just expedite your ability to be successful.
There's some weird stigma in a way, like of gurus and mentors and masterminds, all that. But like at the end of the day, I don't know anyone in this business that's successful. Like I could go down a whole list that hasn't paid for some sort of mentor coaching community because
by themselves.
Like I look at guys maybe that are trying to do that themselves too, and I'm like, dude, I know if I was sitting there with them, like I probably could have like tweaked something and got that deal across the finish line. They're right there, but they have no confidence or help or whoever to take that thing across the finish line that they can bounce stuff ideas across. Like that's absolutely leveled up our game. Like perfect example of it is I went and knocked foreclosures not knowing a clue what I was doing, and I met Grant. From a note on the door, I realized, one, I don't have notes. I'm not even hitting these leads at the right time. His notes probably been sitting there for several days. I don't know what to say. I shadow him. I figure all this out. I build a system, and now it's like I cut off probably 12 months. You know, if I didn't meet him, who knows what would have happened? Like I copied his exact process, exactly what he said. He helped me close my first deal, and now you close a $40,000 deal, and now I'm making 20 grand by just connecting with someone that can show me the ropes. And I literally just copy and pasted that for my next deal 3 weeks later. And then you start paying for more education. How do I bring in these leads? How do I do this exit strategy? And it's like you have all these people to bounce it off of. You're not just paving your own path for, failing. You have everyone else's failures to learn from.
There's two types of people. There's people that join mentorships and a year later, they're still at the same place, still at the same spot, haven't done any deals. And then there's people like y'all who join a group and then now y'all are in the top 10% of their group, done deals, have advanced. So what's the difference?
I think the biggest thing is realizing when you join a community or anything, that's not the thing that's going to make you successful. Now you have the resources, you have to take massive action. Like, unfortunately, people make it sound easier than it is on social media or in the group or wherever it is. It's not something you can you work 9 to 5 and then you do it from like 5 to 7. Like that's now. I'm working even to this day because I'm passionate about it and I like it, but like I work 10, 12 hours a day sometimes, but I'm enjoying it and I'm trying to, it's like a game to me. If you don't have that obsession and you don't treat it like a game, you're not going to have a ton of success.
I'd say the same thing. Definitely take action. Don't have analysis paralysis. There's so many people that, they get all these resources. I want to learn everything, whatever. It's just learn by doing. You have to just go out and do it. And you have to keep going. Like some people might get their first deal in 2 weeks. Some might get it in 8 months. But once you get that first deal, it's going to kind of snowball into more because you'll understand everything.
Yeah, your learning curve can be different. Momentum is huge, but yeah, that's the biggest thing is action creates momentum. Like you can't sit there and try and set up the LLC, do the business cards, do all this, set up your website. And I didn't do any of that. My first 3 wholesale deals were in my own name. I wasn't worried about anything else. I'm going to figure this out. And then I'll add those pieces along the way versus the person that's like, I'm going to set all this up and then learn everything. And then I'll talk to someone. Like, no, just talk to someone, come across a problem and then connect it with someone that's in the community that you paid to be a part of.
For door knocking, what are the small things that you need to do and just how should you approach it?
A lot of things that to door knockers, they know these things, but to maybe someone that doesn't is your body language is huge. Your attitude and body language and how you present yourself is way bigger than what you say. So how I stand, am I calm, relaxed? They're not thinking about what you have to say. There's no right thing to say. You just want to be a human being and be different than anyone else that's knocked on their door. If you can build a connection with them, make a friend, you can make a deal, anything. Anyone can set an appointment and make a friend. And that's where people overcomplicate it. What am I going to say? What am I going to do? Make a friend, help them, connect it with someone that can if you know absolutely nothing. So that's a simple breakdown for someone that's brand new. But to some door knockers, they should know a lot of those things.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously don't have as much experience knocking doors in terms of just like straight sales. I have it for pre-foreclosures, but I'd say don't be intimidating the best you can, specifically for pre-foreclosures. They get a lot of people hitting them up about a pretty bad situation. So be as, lighthearted, friendly, empathetic as humanly possible.
With, at the same time, being able to level with them.
Yeah.
There's a super big power because everyone says they want to help, they want to do this. What can separate you from anyone else if they've gotten talked to a lot is like, look, I get it. Like, break it down and be like, you've gotten hammered on the door. There's probably a ton of people calling and texting you, right? Okay, my job's actually super important. What I do is a little bit different. And you leveled with them, you got to where they are. Like, you probably think I'm a dick sitting here at your door, right? Like, and they're like, yeah, it's okay. Like, now you get them to agree with you. And then you can kind of continue with what you actually need to do.
Let's say the list just dropped, you're about to go knock or start your day cold calling or texting, like what do you do to prepare?
I mean, it really just depends on what you're trying to do. So if you're knocking, I mean, it's just get the list made, make sure you're hitting houses that you want to hit, whether it's high equity, if you're looking for big cash deals, or low equity with good interest rates for sub twos. I mean, if you're texting and calling, just make sure you have clean lists. So it really just depends on what you're trying to accomplish that day.
Yeah, I'd say just maximize your time for the money making activities. So like if I'm going to go door knock, I want to be prepared with the list. Like he said, I don't want to hit houses that have been purchased in the last year and a half that have absolutely no equity on high interest rates. Maybe even pull out landlords sometimes. I want to have my notes ready so I can have notes left on the door. I want to spend my time going to those houses and talking to people so that I don't have to think about anything else. That could be packing a water, making food, whatever it is. Cleaning up my pipeline before so I don't have a bunch of things I'm thinking about as I'm going. Sometimes I'll go door knock and I got all these things I had to do in the background. I'm not even thinking about what's happening on the doors. So finishing what you have to do before, that can be the hard thing with door knocking as you build a pipeline. Like for us, the biggest time to door knock is right when the list comes out because we have so many leads coming back through. If I miss my phone for 5 hours, probably a lot going on. That's the power of automations and AI too. But set your day up so that you can spend your time on the money making activities, which is making offers, talking to sellers, building out other marketing systems, and follow up with the hottest leads. Like go back through your pipeline and make sure it's all going.
For those who haven't been door knocking with a mentor or anything, I've been tagging along with them sometimes. It's very intense. Like y'all should definitely go watch one of the videos of them, a day in the life door knocking, pre-foreclosure. We're not stopping to get food. Like once you get in that car, it's house to house to house to house. The only time in between is driving to the next house.
Yeah, which I think for door-to-door people, they should be used to being on the doors. For them, the hardest part is getting out of the car and staying on the doors. To someone that's not in door-to-door, it's hilarious because they're like, oh, I went door knocking, once or twice, and it just didn't really work. And I'm like, once or twice, like that's literally 30 houses, maybe, or 50 if you got a lot through. But like it takes us 120 door knocks to get a contract, and that's some of the best door knockers in my opinion that I've seen is us. So like if it takes 120 doors, that's 10 days of knocking at least if you're hitting 20. But if I got a deal under contract, I maybe only knocked 5 doors because I was inside a house. So it's not spinning the wheels. You got to be going.
Are there like minor things that y'all like to do to like that keeps y'all like in that frame whenever y'all door knocking?
I think just making sure you have the system set up to follow up, track them. Sometimes you have a good conversation with the lead and then you move on to the next house and you kind of forget about it. Like make sure if you got your CRM up, you got that lead tag, you got them in the right stage, you're following up with them.
You don't have a lot of capital and you're just kind of making things happen with what you got. What system can you put in place if you don't have any capital?
I would say door knocking, driving for dollars, huge. And then just add value as much as you can to some mentor, whether it's online or at a real estate meetup, that you can really go build a connection with. Because if you can find a motivated seller, you can make money if you have good connections with someone that can help you take it across the finish line. So like that's got to be you adding value to them somehow. And a motivated lead that's on the phone with them that is really needs to sell their house is a lot of times adding value to a lot of investors. But yeah, getting a pre-foreclosure list, going to the county site, getting a subscription with Deal Machine that's like $99. It's got 7-day free trial. Like getting on there, leaving notes on doors. I ran through a neighborhood and area in North Dallas where I wanted to find a house to live in. And I was like, I'm gonna go for a run. I got 15 notes. I hadn't done this in forever. I said, hey, give me a call. I didn't even put I wanted to buy your house, put my phone number, my name, left it on 15 houses, got 3 callbacks and 2 of them want to sell. And I'm still working the leads. One day, leaving notes on doors and actually knocking on some of them, building connections with people, talking to the ones that look run down, like seeing when they might want to sell. And those people you talk to face to face, no one else is having that kind of connection.
I think get on someone else's dial or CRM too. There would be people that have a CRM that are willing to have you call leads for them.
Yeah, or
some text messages.
Work for someone. Yeah. Working for someone's gonna be a great way.
When was the moment the light bulb went off? Like we should probably invest in a system. And how did y'all first go about it?
I mean, we got a system right when we first started, like 3 years ago. It was just a blank CRM that didn't really have any automations or anything. That we knew nothing about it. So we got taught a little bit about the person that created it or sold it to us. But really, it was just us learning how to use it. So I mean, I think at that point it was like we knew from the start we need some sort of system. We just wasn't very efficient, but we at least had something.
Yeah, it was more just again following the path of someone that we paid for community education. So like luckily they got that foundation set from the beginning. Otherwise, who knows what what we would have been doing. Like we had this system where we could cold call, text, we could create our own automations. We just had to figure it out ourselves, and it took 2-3 years to refine to what it is now. That's why we help a lot of people get their systems set up. But luckily we had that foundation, because without that foundation, I see so many people like mixing 5 different things together. They're texting people on their own phone. They're using they're not even on a real dialer. They have no text system. They have no pipelines built out, no automations, and you're just doing yourself a disservice, because you can't do this business at scale and quantity if you have nothing like pieced together in a pipeline.
For the new wholesaler, when is the right time to get a system?
Now.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say if you're serious about doing the business, you're going to do deals, like you want to be in this business, it would be now. I was good at door knocking, and I didn't need a CRM technically to go hit pre-foreclosures and door knock. So it could be one deal, right? Like I want to get a deal across the finish line, but like some sort of education or training or mentor community is almost always needed, because it's very hard to have the confidence to get something across the finish line. And then for some people, it might just be, okay, I want to do that, and then I can, get a system together. But like that is the foundation to it all, right? If you're not tracking leads, following up, it's like, what's the cost of missing one deal? It's a lot. So having that tracked, followed up with is super important.
Like me personally knowing you, y'all aren't emotional people like at all. I think it's because of just like things you guys see and do. Over time, y'all are probably just like so jaded.
Dealing with stress and the ups and downs is important, but also still having emotion, because if you can't connect with someone on the phone or at the door, you're not going to be able to get a deal. So I think there is a level of flipping a switch whenever we're talking to a homeowner. I think sometimes outside looking into you or to our family or girlfriend, whoever, we might look like, okay, we have no emotion, but then a phone rings and I'm having a conversation with the seller that's crying on the phone. If they're crying on the phone with me, they're probably feeling comfortable because of the way we communicated, built rapport with them, helped them, realize the confidence that we have and being able to help them. So like there's that aspect, but then also the craziness in business is just knowing it's inevitable. We talk about that all the time, and knowing the things that are out of our control, we can't focus on. So it's like it might suck for 2 minutes or even longer, but like if you can't control it, just move on and know that's part of the business. Is a reason you can make a lot of money. It's stressful, and it's a lot of things that people don't want to do.
I'd say Ben's probably a little bit calmer than I am, but yeah, I mean, you kind of it happens with time. Like if you've seen everything and you know how everything can go, whether it's good or bad, you kind of just get used to it. Part of learning, just like in sales, you're learning to get better at sales. You're also learning to deal with crazy situations.
Yeah, we had a foreclosure deal that we closed, pretty big one, that we literally tried to last minute postpone the auction so we could, wholesale it. And there was a temporary restraining order filed on the house. We thought everything was good originally. Then the guy calls back and says, hey, it didn't work, like house got foreclosed. And I kind of like looked at that, and it's like being in this business for 2 years, 3 years, I'm like, dang, like that sucks. But I'm like, it'll work out if it needs to be. And then I put my phone down and kind of just kept working on it. But like my first month in the business, I would have been like gut wrenching, heartbroken. We just missed out on 40 grand. Like, what the hell? I answered my phone call 30 minutes later and they're like, oh, it was the wrong TRO. Like, yeah, it got stopped. We're good. Deal closed. Like, made 40 grand. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you can either be super stressed and freak yourself out, or you can realize, okay, is this out of my control? And how can I proceed? Because you can't fall in love with one deal. I say that all the time. People get one lead and they fall in love with that lead because they try and get to close. And we have a whole pipeline of leads, or you get one under contract and you want it to close and it falls through. So it's going to happen. It's inevitable. It's just control what you can control. When I'm freaking out trying to answer the phone or make sure a contract gets over, is because what is the cost of one deal not going through. But at the same time, it's like life goes on. Like, will this matter in 3 years? That 40 grand deal, like, yeah, it sucks right now, but like my life's not over in 3 years. There's other deals that are to me close. There's bigger ones. The next conversation could be bigger. It's just thinking about that like in the moment.
What are y'all's systems in your life that y'all use to manage stress and just the day-to-day craziness?
I'd say have a hobby. Don't just be working 24/7, whether that be working out, walk, sauna, cold plunge. Have something to take your mind off of work.
Yeah, I think I was really good about like going on a walk. I try and schedule that sometimes. I wake up, I cold plunge, allows that time in the morning before my phone can ring to work on stuff I want to work on. But in general, if you don't do something hard at the beginning of the day, that's why I love that, because that's like every single day ripping off the Band-Aid. It's a hard thing to do, and it just gets me pumped for the rest of the day. There's not a lot that can hit me after that. That's like, okay, jumping in freezing cold water for 3 minutes is not because of all the other health benefits. It's just hard to do. And then, working out, keeping your mind right. For us too, getting in scripture and realizing like if you're a believer or not, this isn't in our control. So it's like if we're genuinely trying to help people and there's stuff that we're doing, for that reason. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If not, like, I'm going to do everything I can to make it work. But like, if my intent is good and it's in God's hands and not ours, then like, that's probably the most, satisfying feeling, I think.
This one's really for you, but like, because you came from a regular job and then just hopped in. So like, you don't need to be a professional or seasoned door knocker to have success and jump into sales. So like, what were the things that helped you out, and like, how did you handle that transition?
I just think dedicating myself to it. Like, I mean, I was coming home from work at 3 p.m. and I would cold call for at least 3 to 4 hours every single day of the week. I'd do driving for dollars on Saturday, and just throwing yourself in the mud is what I always like to say is you're only going to learn by just doing it. So like, I picked up the phone and started calling. I had no cold calling experience. I kind of just did it, and it was uncomfortable, and I had to teach myself like, hey, you got to adjust this and that. Obviously having people around you that are good at sales helps, but I mean, really just throwing yourself in the fire and learning as you go, and knowing you're not going to be successful, and just using those like quote unquote failures to build yourself up is, I think, the most beneficial thing you can do.
These are all the big questions we get for pre-foreclosures, as well as marketing, everything A to Z. If you guys have more questions, make sure to check out our YouTube, subscribe to REI Closers, follow me on Instagram. We post a ton of our content, as well as the day-to-day at benjensen.rei. You can check out the link in the description to everything we talked about and joining our community, and we will see you guys on the next episode.